KDB by just 300ths of a second.
That's incredible. And give me a second to sort out something with this live stream and we should be back. Funnily enough, the game didn't throw any sort of issues at me today. Albuquerque on pole, KDB starting P2, General Pepe starting P3, so the title contenders in the top 3 once again.
Coming to the end of our formation lap, there were some pretty nice surprises, to be honest, in the qualifying. If you notice who was at P5, you'll see a very familiar name.
SV11 starting P5. That's a rare sight indeed. We got Big Man Joe right up there as well. Good to see Sicknick being consistent and up in P4. Yep, that wraps up formation lap. Now the race will begin. Enough, the 5 red lights will go out. RB Ferrero in pole position, his first pole in the BRL. With KDB close behind, and the 5 lights are out, and the cars take off down the main straight. RB Ferrero tries to get a good start but fails to. KDB gets an even better start, has overtaken, and there's chaos at the back. There's a spinning AlphaTauri, and God forbid that's Rusty Nish, of course, is not. He's in the Red Bull, which means the accelerate's fallen all the way to the back, and RB Ferrero retakes the lead. KDB's lost a bit of momentum. He's almost lost it all the way to General Pepe. He's closing in as well. Meanwhile, Sicknick hungry for position behind General Pepe. Right behind, Rusty Nish has gotten quite the jump as well, and there's a spinning Mercedes this time around at the back, and it could be Freeze. Yes, it is.
I have only one word, and that is chaos.
Right up ahead.
Oh. Frustration from Freeze as he quits. He has left the session.
Very, very unfortunate to see Freeze leave. I think he returned after a couple of races. Absence.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah, fortunate. But the race goes on. RB Ferrero leads the race in lap 1 as they go through sector 2. Rusty Nish battling it out with SV11, this time around much ahead than usual.
RB Ferrero maintains his pole status after briefly losing it out, but I did see a lot of cutting at
it's
turn
a spin.
2.
It's a spin, it's only Cuppy, he spun. He's fallen down the pack as well, all the way down to P16.
Or with a 5-second penalty for speeding in the pit lane, as he already has to make a pit stop right after the first lap.
Probably.
But as I was saying, Sarthak, there were some cuts from the escape route, as we had earlier discussed in the driver's briefing. People had to respect the escape route at turn 2 and join the track after the small chicane of the styrofoam boards. RB Ferrero was one of them who cut before the styrofoam boards, so maybe this may spice up the lead of the race.
Probably an incident we missed is that of Big Man Joe. He was up in P6, if I'm not mistaken, and now he's down in P14.
Yes, he was also one of the cars who had to take the escape road after being pushed out. Wix 356 was also there, so the two of them had to take the escape road and they came out quite behind. But Big Man Joe has a mountain to climb again.
Fortunate for him, KDB has taken the race lead. RB Ferrero is close within half a second. Surprisingly enough, General Pepe is losing time to RB Ferrero.
Maybe this is another initiative by General Pepe, just like Singapore, to conserve his tires and then push when the time is right.
Sounds about right. Are we in P7 with his teammate Vex right behind? He is within half a second of SV11 and closing in. DRS enabled. As slipstream as well, we could have a three-way battle going in the next turn. Around the outside, he peaks. Won't be able to get it done. SV11 gets a bad exit out of that corner and tries to push out Avi off track, but wheel to wheel they go through sector 1. SV11 and Avi and it's a fight for position P6, and SE11 is going to hold on to it a bit longer. Up ahead, the gaps have changed. General Pepe has closed that gap down to within half a second.
Almost covered up 1 second in a matter of 1.5 laps, to be honest.
He's setting purple sector 2 as well, and he's on the gearbox of RB Ferrello. Meanwhile, Siknik's closing that gap to General Pepe as well. We could possibly see a good four-way battle soon enough, Ruds.
Without a doubt, with Racinish more than 2 seconds behind, the top 4 can actually even fight for the lead.
Possibly.
It's a matter of one mistake.
DRS enabled, unfortunate to see migrating host, which means KDB might have just disconnected. To lead a race and disconnect is not the ideal of situations, but it is what it is. RB Ferrello has General Pepe to worry about for sure now as he tries to close that gap to KDB. Down the inside he peaks. KDB seems to have left the session. He's gone off my screen, Ruds. I don't know about you.
Yep, he went poof for me as well, and then I find him ghosting in P4. So definitely a technical error because of the network issue.
Speaking of errors, RB Ferrello had one of his own. He went completely off track a while ago. General Pepe seems to have lost a bit of time to RB Ferrello in the process. Siknig loses time to General Pepe as well.
Everything falls on Siknig right now until KDB is able to rejoin, as he's the lead racing point, and the constructors now will be dictated by him, at least for this race.
He will want it, and RB Ferrello might just have a smile on his face. He did qualify on pole, and now he continues to lead this race once again. But this time around, Pepe is still closing in. He's still a threat and will continue to be.
General Pepe is close enough to make the overtake on the next DRS straight, but let's see how good RB Ferrello defends against it.
Given the track, I doubt he'll be able to get it done, but as you said, DRS enabled, has a slipstream, just doesn't have the momentum, does he? Still stays on the rear wing of RB Ferrello. I don't think RB Ferrello has to put in an extra effort to defend because Pepe doesn't seem close enough.
It is sad to see KDB falling down to P7, as I just saw a notification of him rejoining the game. Hopefully, all is not lost for KDB today.
Yeah, unfortunate for him indeed. Meanwhile, in the midfield, Gouts closing in on Horning. Gambler having lost 2 positions down in P13. I think it was in sector 1, if I'm not wrong, where he lost positions to Gouts.
It was at the start of sector 2, right there, as Big Man Joe overtook him.
Alright, and Pepe is closing in the wheel to wheel through sector 3. They go at the entrance. I think they have contact as well, but RB Ferrello is going to look for the switchback down the inside this time around, and he should get it done. They're still going wheel to wheel through corners. General Pepe has a nasty exit through that specific corner, the penultimate corner, and RB Ferrello retakes the race lead. On his gearbox, you can see them. It's almost as if General Pepe is ready to nudge RB Ferrello just a bit, but on the main straight, he'll have DRS this time around. I'm pretty sure he'll get the move done. Peaks down the inside, has the gap that he needs, the momentum that he needs, and he will get it done. But Siknik trying to be ambitious and get in the process as well. Could he dive bomb even more? No, he won't. He'll back off, pushes RB Ferrello just a bit, and RB Ferrello fending him off just so much to make sure Siknik goes back to P3. But one attempt by Siknik, kudos to him.
What a turnaround by Siknig, right now fighting for the lead in that racing point. being a team principal and a team driver, you love to see it. RB Ferrello going wide, joining safely.
And Ruds, I think I might have just lost it.
Yeah, I have lost the interval times as well. Hopefully, the next sector line fixes the times.
Yeah, I
But
almost
KDB
thought
is back.
I almost thought the game started playing tricks on me once again, but
It always does, doesn't it?
yeah. RB Ferrero seems to have disconnected. I think overall. Okay, interesting. The whole. It says everybody's leaving the session.
I don't think it is saying that for me. I just got a notification saying KDB has joined the session. He is in P8 now, and yep, everybody's times are working well now. Sector 3 yellow, as we see a Ferrari right there. It's Wix 356. I think he's lost his rear end and now he is P14. Was P11 at a point.
I'm incredibly happy on not seeing what I'm seeing, Ruds. Because what I'm seeing is a big fat choke. Either ways, you gotta hold on the comms for now as I try to get the stream back on.
Definitely. I had one burning question though, which I could not ask anyone in qualifying. But what are your thoughts on Sochi? I made my thoughts pretty clear during qualifying. I'm not against it, but I think we can do better in Sochi and outside Sochi. What about you, Sarthak?
Yeah, I have zero good feelings about this track. I'm not a fan one bit. I don't enjoy the races here. I think I'm not gonna be lying about it, but I might have dozed off for a minute or two last season around this track. But you didn't
Well, you
hear that
certainly
from me.
did better than me at least. I skipped the race. The only race I skipped in 2020 was Sochi.
Fair enough, you got me there, Ruds. Got me there. Oh. Let me try and get the stream back on. Enough. For the handful of y'all watching, make sure you drop in the chat who you're here for, who do you think's gonna come out on top as we rejoin the lobby for the race.
Sicknick has fallen by 2.5 seconds behind RB Ferrello, as now the lead is a battle between two cars only. I wonder what happened to Sicknick. Maybe tire conservation, or maybe the tires are finally approaching the end as they fall off the cliff beginning lap 10.
Yeah, it's great to see, isn't it, the likes of Rustinish, who won this race last season around, right up there in the top 6, fighting for position, alongside another individual who performed considerably better in the latter half of the season in the BRL SV11.
Indeed, it is impressive to see Rustinish in P4 right now, as not only does it help his cause, it helps Red Bull as well. They are stuck in the midfield battle right now in the constructors, and I think a decent result from both the cars today will give them a much needed boost.
Yep, it will, won't it? Seems like I still have issues rejoining.
There always seem to be a few issues whenever a host migrates. I am just glad that none of the drivers face the issues, because that would have ruined their entire race. I think, Sarthak, that Freeze is actually still racing. He seems to be 9 seconds behind everyone in P18, but he is still racing, I guess.
So that's great to see. that he's back on track. I think he took some time out to drop in chat that he's as frustrated as he can be with this game at this point in time.
Or I may be wrong and it's actually his ghost driving. I can't clearly see if the car is translucent or not. It seems like it's translucent, so I don't know, but either way, there are still two Mercedes on track, whether AI or the drivers themselves.
Fair enough.
KDB up in P6 already, making up 2 positions since he joined, right on the chuff of Mr. Wex. Makes the overtake in the final chicane in Sector 3, and now he's P5. But Wex is still there, trying to nip. He will have the advantage of DRS as well, so Wex could get his position back from KDB. As the pit window now opens for the medium strategy, so all the soft runners can now pit from lap 10 onwards up until lap 14. Ooh, the two Renaults fighting as KDB goes P3. General Pepe pits, comes out on the mediums and lap 10. So now those mediums have to last him for the entire race. Meanwhile, we have Horning in P7 on the mediums fighting Gots in P6 on the softs. So Horning can actually make this alternate strategy work very well, as once again, he is the prime Mercedes fighting for points for their team.
Also, Roods, those two have been practicing more often together than alone in the past couple of weeks. So that's an interesting battle for sure.
Yep, that definitely helps, knowing each other's driving styles as well. And I think Horning may have a little sense of urgency as he does have a 5-second penalty to serve, mostly in the pits, but he still has to cover the 5 seconds somehow against his direct rivals. Mr. Wex on 6 seconds worth of penalties and Sickening on 3 seconds. So those are the penalties for the top 10, with Gamebler also in 10th place with 6 seconds of penalties. Well, all the frontrunners have pit except KDB and Avi, who are still on the 10-lap old softs, as well as Big Man Joe. Horning is the lead car in P3 on the mediums, so he's the best position to get benefit from the alternate strategy. Gots and SV11 came out of the pits together in P13 and P14 respectively. Sarthak, do you think things might get a little spicy there? I wonder if they will.
I'm pretty sure Gouts is on his toes at this point in time, but we're back and we should have everything back for the folks as well who's watching the stream. I won't be surprised if Gouts has pulled out his phone with his left hand and he's driving the wheel with just his right hand, trying to text SV11, SV, just hold tight and keep it clean.
Well, at least he has one car in between now with Gots accelerate instead of overtaking accelerate. But funny how puns do wonders to your mind.
And as you said, KDB and Avi pit, and Horning will take over the lead of this race. Big Man Joe right behind General Pepe running P3 on a fresh set of mediums, unless my leaderboards have completely messed up again. Speeding in the pit lane.
Yes, indeed, you are right.
5-second penalty for accelerate. Who's leading the race, Ruds, considering the game?
Well, It is still horning right now on his
Alright.
old mediums with Big
Yeah.
Man Joe on his old softs. The only one on the softs who's yet to pit.
The Alfa Romeos, not too often we see them run in the top 5 since recent races, in the recent races at least.
It is interesting to see how General Pepe finished his pit stop and is only 3 seconds behind the leader. So that is an essential 20-second made up on the alternate strategy leader. I don't know what's gonna happen next with such pace.
In time we'll find out. But up ahead, RB Ferrero just made a pass on Hyrox 24. I'm pretty sure Hyrox 24 didn't bother defending too much. It's not really his race there up against RB Ferrero. So he's up in a P5. And next up is Gambler. Up ahead, General Pepe taking that fight to Big Man Joe. Great to see that. Two incredible drivers going wheel to wheel. Last weekend around, General Pepe beat Big Man Joe's record of most race wins. And now he's up in a P2, having passed Big Man Joe. Three-second time penalty for SU11 after multiple warnings.
Big Man Joe conceding his position to General Pepe makes sense as his tires are nearing the end and he cannot fight much, but I think Big Man Joe should be pitting this lap to get the best possible life out of his mediums as well.
Down in the midfield, significant gap between Sicknig and KDB, but that's closing quite a bit and I don't see Sicknig slowing down, so clearly KDB, it's a pedal to the metal for him. Like Sicknig closing in on the drivers up ahead, Gambler and Irox 24. 3-second time penalty for Wixie 56 after multiple warnings. Surprisingly enough, Gambler clearly not like Irox 24, trying to defend off some of the front runners. Sicknig gets the position, however, and I'm pretty sure Irox 24 won't keep Sicknig up for too long.
You know, Sarthak, funny story, we almost had someone else driving for Sicknig today.
How come?
Well, as it turns out, during the driver's briefing, a certain individual walked up to Sicknig's pedals and started using them, and it was none other than Leo, his dog.
Of course.
So we might have actually seen Leo race for Racing Point today.
That would have been a sight to see, wouldn't it? Have been.
Yeah, but then they had an agreement and now Leo is his race engineer for today.
Okay. Makes a lot more sense now. Yeah, Pepe retakes the lead of the race. Meanwhile, on my screen, however, it says Mr. Wex, so don't pay any heed to that. Mr. Wex is clearly not leading this race on 13 lap old softs.
Although another car on 13 lap old mediums is still P2. Horning was P1, but he had to concede to General Pepe, but still going strong. At least he can hope for a top 10 finish. Avi with 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. I wonder how many of those warnings are for the turn 2 escape route.
Horning running P2 with 13 lap old mediums, like you mentioned. Been a while since we saw him up in front, isn't it, Ruds?
Definitely. Mercedes did start the season very strong, to be honest, but they lost the plot in the midway.
Unfortunate for those two, Fries and Horning. They locked out the front row on multiple occasions in this season.
I think Barcelona was the turning point for the Mercs. I would think that is the turning point of the Mercs.
It's almost as if KDB and Sicknig took over their spot, and they're performing incredibly.
Are we allowed to make the pink Mercedes joke?
I'm pretty sure we are, but Fries might have other opinions on it. Regardless, KDB closing in on Hyrox 24. He's within half a second, and I'm pretty sure Hyrox 24 won't keep KDB back for long. Incredibly close there. Will have slipstream. Oh, okay. He couldn't get that move done in that corner. Hyrox 24 still trying to keep his pace and expects KDB to pass him whenever he can, and yes, he will make the pass, get it done, and the racing points are up into P4 and P5 respectively.
Very good recovery drive from KDB, to be honest. P8 at one point when he connected again, and since then he's had his pit stop and he's come back to P5. Hopefully a podium is not out of reach either for him or Sicknick.
I'm sure it's not, considering Horning is still yet to pit. We could possibly see quite the battle at the last couple of laps. So the question is now, will Sicknick let KDB by to take the fight to RB Ferrello and General Pepe?
That is an interesting question, and I think yes. If you look at their tires, General Pepe is on 5-lap old mediums, RB Ferrello 4 and Sicknick 4, but KDB is on 3. So if anybody in the top 4 can push, it is KDB. So maybe a good idea to let him go and fight for his championship, because the points will not change.
Indeed, isn't it? But what's the idea here with Horning? 15-lap old mediums, of course, isn't a rare sight, but still out on track.
Not
all the others have
really though. I think the mediums can last for a long time. Predicted life of these mediums is 17 to 18 laps, and I think Horning will try to go on the softs with 10 laps remaining to get the maximum juice out of them, and who knows, he may get a fastest lap in the process as well.
Speaking of softs, Hyrox 24 has come out on a fresh set of softs, and he's joined in P11. And Thor has retired from this session. I wonder if it's out on track. Yes, it is, after the final corner, I presume.
Looks like he is in the pit lane.
Oh, okay. Could he
Horning comes in for his pit stop as well, Sarthak, finally.
And he's serving a penalty. Rhodes.
Yup, that 5-second penalty at last comes to haunt him.
Sector 1 goes yellow.
I believe it's because of the McLaren joining the track after the retirement.
Correct me if I'm wrong, Rhodes, but it says Mr. Wex on 16-lap old sauce. That's clearly a glitch, right?
Yep, Mr. Wex is actually on 5-lap old mediums.
Thank you for that.
And to make matters worse, he also has a penalty of 6 seconds.
Where is he running, Rhodes?
He's P7 right now, right behind his teammate Avi, who also has penalties, I might add. So definitely not a good time for the Renault boys. 3 seconds of penalties for Avi.
Yeah. Hyrox 24 gets dished a 3-second time penalty after multiple warnings by the game.
KDB locking up lightly, trying to follow Sicknick. Dirty air, a huge concern in Russia. And the dirty air will not get any kinder as we progress. Looks like Sicknick is letting him go, actually.
Yep, as you predicted, KDB has clear air now for a bit. 6 seconds to be closed in to RB Ferrello. Meanwhile, RB Ferrello himself has quite the task in hand. 3.5 seconds to close in to General Pepe. KDB locks up his rear right. Funnily enough, gave Sicknick the slipstream, and it almost seemed like Sicknick was going to try and attempt a possible overtake.
I'm loving the teamwork. I'm loving the dream work, actually. And they've definitely been my favorite team so far this season.
Yeah, definitely. Sicknick has stepped up without a doubt, and KDB has been consistently competing in the front of the pack. whenever he does show up for a race, and he did have that moment where he closed in on General Pepe in the title fight as well. Today, the race result should help in General Pepe's favor. The way the positions look right now, but as you've seen in Italy, anything can happen in the penultimate and the final lap.
KDB seems to be locking up his tires at every hard-braking segment, so he's definitely driving hard, but I wonder if that will ruin his tires quicker than the others at the front. He has to cut up 5 seconds to RB Ferrello, by the way, so that might also be the reason for the urgency.
Clearly, all eyes on the midfield as the two drivers out on softs might be battling each other soon enough. Horning and Hyox 24.
Yep, if Harry Rocks cannot get a second gap like he has now, if he does not maintain it, Horning will certainly overtake him this lap, but let's see what happens.
UK in the chat says
Sector 1 yellow, by the way, Sarthak, something happened, but it's clear now, I guess.
probably a car off track for a bit, presumably X356, so he gets that 3-second time penalty. Meanwhile, as I was saying, UK in the chat says Rusty is having a good race for once. Indeed. And let's not jinx it, shall we? He's up in P6.
Well, if anything does happen, it will not be the commentator's curse this time at least.
Yeah. UK, this one's on you. Unfortunate not to see UK out on track though. Would have been really great to see him fighting right up there. I don't think he's come out on track for any of the race where Sicknigs performed this incredibly well. 3-second time penalty for KDB Roods.
Not what they would have wanted, even remotely. Sicknick is already on a 3-second penalty as well. Not good.
Red Bull is set to have a good points haul today if everything goes in their favor. Considering Racing Points have racked up those penalties and Rusty Nish have none, neither does RB Ferrello. You could see a good jump in constructors for the Red Bull boys as well. Rusty Nish weaving on the main straight, trying to make sure he doesn't give that slipstream Avi needs to make that pass on him, but Avi's closing in regardless. Down the inside he peaks, but he's keeping a safe distance to Rusty Nish. He's gonna take his time before he makes the pass.
Avi carefully weighing his options. The Renaults have a significant amount of time penalty though, so they would want to overtake cars as much as possible. And I'm convinced that the Sector 1 yellow flag is definitely a glitch because it keeps happening every time a car passes.
Unfortunate.
Look at that, even the virtual Sochi is a pain.
UK predicts Avi will make a move on the DRS straight. But yeah, he's the closest driver to another.
I really like those side angle camera shots. The only other place we see that is turn 3 in Austria, where you can see the glowing brakes. Karthik, if you've noticed.
No, I haven't. In fact, seems to be missing out on quite the side. Guts gets a 3-second time penalty, however. And in P7, he's within half a second of Rusty Nish. Avi, this is the time to attack, as I'd like to say. Rusty Nish gets a nasty exit as well out of that corner, but he's still on His rear wing has a slipstream. Rastinish, incredible pace clearly. And Avi has a bit of a moment there, loses so much of time. And yeah, it almost seems like Rastinish has steamed away.
Impressive duel so far. It was entertaining while it lasted, and it still goes on, but close racing.
A bit down the order, however, Big Man Joe has closed in on SV11. He's well within a second of SV11 as well, just like how Avi is to Rusty Nisha. And speaking of Avi, he gets a 3-second time penalty.
General Pepe has grown his gap to RB Ferrello, by the way. It was 3 seconds and now it is almost 5.5 seconds. So, do you think we can conclude the race winner right now?
Yeah, possibly, but after what happened in Italy, I'm not jumping into conclusions. And Avi has spun. We just saw him out on track, helpless in fact, as Big Man Joe crossed him. But he will rejoin the race, but in P10. Unfortunate for him.
That was a big fall from P6 to P10. Right when he was about to gain P5 maybe.
Unfortunate for the Renault driver. SV11 has closed in on Gouts. So could we see a possible three-way battle in the laps to come? Gouts, SV11 and Big Man Joe in the midfield. We just might see a glimpse of the battle right now. DRS enabled, but none of them as close as they want to be to each other. Late braking into that corner. Big Man Joe making sure he's on the gearbox for SV11. SV11 seems to have had a nasty exit. He's trying to get the car straight. SV11 again a nasty exit as he goes wide. Slipstream peaks around the outside. Big Man Joe keeping it on the gearbox, trying to make sure, force in fact SV11 into an error perhaps on the main straight. He seems like he's lost quite a pace.
Literally racing like it was NASCAR, bum drafting SV until the end of the corner.
Wasn't he? This time around SV11 seems incredibly close to Gouts. Gouts on the extreme left hand side of the track. SV11 was on the extreme right hand side of the track. And the battle continues with them being well within half a second of each other. These three drivers, this battle won't stop soon enough. But it'll be interesting to see if Big Man Joe will attempt his classic jump in position. Two cars in one corner perhaps? Or would that be too ambitious?
We just saw P5 to P9 on the same straight, by the way. Look at that once again.
God's pace is incredible here, it seems like, with him holding on to that position. But this time around, Big Man Joe close enough. Can he get the move done? No, going into the corner. The corner showed up too early, but just as both the drivers in front get a nasty exit, get two nasty exits in fact. SV11 has had a bad, but he dive bombs into the next corner, and I think there was contact between the Alfa Romeo and the Ferrari, but he holds on somehow. Big Man Joe, he's gotten that position, he's almost gotten that position on SV11, but almost seems like he's backed off. Unfortunate there, it almost seemed like he pulled off a double jump in position. But the slipstream he's got.
I think it was a sign of respect when he gave Gauss the position back. Maybe it was a bit too aggressive.
I figured it's a three-way battle. SV11 dives down the inside this time around. Gauss locks up his rear right. I'm pretty sure that'll be spoken about after the race. But meanwhile, Big Man Joe around the outside this time around. And Gauss seems to have lost position. And the biggest loser of them all out of these three is definitely Gauss. He stumbled down to P9. Big Man Joe attempted a jump in position once again on SV11, but failed to do so. SV11 fended him off pretty darn well, I'd say. But SV11 and Gouts
had to take the escape routes out, like, sadly, which caused him to lose those positions. But I definitely think that SV pushed too hard, and this will go to the stewards for sure.
Yeah, I'm 100% sure Gouts will have that usual talk with SV11 after a race like this, where both of them have had a moment after this one as well. But yeah, SV11 up into P7. That was a fun battle to watch, wasn't it, Ruds?
Indeed. Not many you find in Russia, so this was definitely welcome.
Meanwhile, UK being quite the mate of ours, pointing out that KDB was well within a second of RB Ferrello, and he's gotten the move done as we were on.
We were
the midfield.
enthralled by the three-way battle.
Yeah. What a battle it was. Either ways, KDB, mighty job by him. He's made the pass on RB Ferrello. He has a 5-second gap to close in on General Pepe. He's got 2 laps to do that as RB Ferrello behind him loses a bit of time going wide. He set purple sector 1 KDB. But yeah, realistically speaking, you'd think that gap can be closed. I don't think so, dudes. He's locking up
3 laps in 5 seconds? I don't think so too.
Yeah. Clearly. Let's go back down to the midfield because I think Big Man Joe's awfully close to SV11 yet again. 3-second time penalty for Gambler after multiple warnings.
Big Man Joe, RB Ferrello and General Pepe are the only drivers who have kept it clean in the race so far. And Freeze's AI, if I'm being cheeky.
Also, UK pointing out how KDP has to create a gap between him and RB Ferrello, considering he has penalties.
Yes, indeed, he has 3 seconds of time penalties, and he has to be very careful of not getting any more. Thankfully, Signic looks like he has P4 covered because Vex has 9 seconds worth of penalties compared to 3 seconds from Signic. So there's 1 podium guaranteed, but KDB would like to finish P2 to keep the title battle close.
Speaking of Vex, completely off my board to be honest, but regardless, Big Man Joe on the wing of SV11. I think there was a bit of contact, but he weaves to the left, and this time around SV11 does the same thing what he did to Gouts, but Big Man Joe didn't stand for it. There was a bit of contact as well. He overextended his chances there, SV11, and this time it kind of messed his own race up.
I don't know if I should be saying karma, but
yeah,
he did the exact same move on Gouts, and it turns out Big Man Joe called it. He saw it coming, and it got ruined for SV.
Big Man Joe being smart and holding back there, defending incredibly aggressive through that corner. SV11.
Yeah, I think the defining moment was how SV pushed Gotham when they were side to side, and Big Man Joe knew that something would happen if he were to go wheel to wheel as well, and he braked. And because he braked, SV could not push Big Man Joe that way, and turns out he spun around his rear wheel, and yeah, the move failed for him spectacularly.
And he's down into P10. Meanwhile, Hilux 24 has been passed by Horning. P9 in fact, S11 down in P9. I keep forgetting. Okay, Mr. Vex, where is he now? On what tires is he on, Ruds? Because on my screen, funnily enough, he's on 26 lap old softs and he's running P5.
Maybe he has retired on your screen, as he did in BRL in real life apparently.
Possibly. Oh, this is interesting, Ruth. This makes things even more interesting. But before I go to that, there's another thing happening on our screens. It's RV taking the fight to Gouts. And to the next corner, he will try to brake late, but won't be able to make the pass. Gouts still holds on to P8. But as I was pointing out earlier, RB Ferrero racked up a time penalty.
Yes, he did, and that's a 3-second penalty. So as things stand, KDB's podium is safe. Now what matters is Will they get any more? And if so, who gets it first?
But all eyes on General Pepe as he comes across the final corner, 9 times race winner, and he's broken his front wing but has managed to cross the finish line, but he's on the main straight with a broken front wing. What a way to win a race, Ruds.
Could you get any more wacky for a race win? I doubt it.
KDB finishes a brilliant P2 after RB Ferrello racks up that penalty. RB Ferrello finishes P3. Once again, we see the title contenders on the podium and in the order of the title fight.
Oh, Big Man Joe going from P7 to P5 because of all the penalties from Rusty Nation Mr. Wex. A brilliant drive overall, I guess.
Incredible there. And Rusty Nish finishing P6. A good race after quite a while. And I'm sure he'd agree with me on that.
Very unfortunate for Horning though, after doing so well, leading the race at a point, finishing just outside the points.
Unfortunate for him indeed. And SU11 racks up a single point after that. Incredible battle between him, Gouts, and Big Man Joe. But then again, I'm pretty sure Gouts might just have a grin on his face, saying, SU11, you deserved just 1 point today after what went down.
Well, this Russian GP was certainly more exciting than the real life one.
Yeah. I'll second you on that, Ruds, but apparently driver of the day is Mr. Wex. I don't want to believe it because it's said 27 lap old softs and P6 or P5.
Yeah, don't worry about that because he was on
confused.
16 lap old mediums.
All
So
right.
that was definitely a glitch on your side.
Yeah. 27 lap old softs. Can you imagine that, Ruds, on a track like this?
I mean, it's Wex, so anything's possible. But yeah, in this case, certainly not.
Yep. It's the top 3 on the podium. The top three of the day as well. The top 3 of the race. I think I predicted this in the post-race chat. I'm gonna take that one. 1 minute 34.226. He gets the fastest lap in the process, General Pepe, and he extends his championship lead a bit more from KDB.
Another 7 points to the gap. The point it was just 1 point in Singapore, and now it's a 15-point gap, I think, after the end of this race.
And seems like General Pepe and Big Man Joe, the only drivers out there who didn't rack up any sort of penalties, unless a couple of the back markers didn't as well. I think Freeze, it was his AI out on track, so we won't consider that. Yeah, incredible to see those two drivers have clean races. Regardless, for the 7 of y'all who stayed till the very end with us watching the BRL Russian GP Season 4, thank you very much. And we'll see you again next race weekend. Cheers, Ruds.
As always, Sarthak, on to the next one.